Hello everyone. Tonight I'd like to discuss price point comparisons on silver versus gold. In front of us we have a visual representation of melt price equivalents for each of these stacks. On the left we have a 5 gram gold bar. 4 9's fine. On the right we have 13 ounces of 3 and 4 9's fine silver bullion. In the center we have $18 face value of 90% constitutional silver, sometimes called junk silver. So in a perfect world without premiums, you could spend the same amount of money to buy that 5 gram gold bar as you would to buy $18 face value of the constitutional silver, and the same amount to buy 13 ounces of 3 or 4 9's fine silver bullion. But we don't live in a perfect world. So let's discuss this. Right now, gold melt for 1 ounce is $1,288. That's a lot of money for a 1 ounce bar, which is why I chose a smaller denomination, and I chose to do this video on the 5 gram bar. Discussing with other stackers, some people have the money and are willing to shell out thousands of dollars for gold, and that's great. If your budget allows you to do that, then go for it. I'm not knocking it. If I had that in my budget, I would probably stack a lot more gold and silver than I do. But most of us working folks are on a budget, and it's tough to stack when you're on a fixed income or you don't have a lot of disposable funds. So I decided to do this on the 5 gram gold bar because melt value for that is $207. $207 is a lot easier to justify spending than $1,300 for a 1 ounce gold bar. So if we do a price point comparison based on a 1 ounce gold, the numbers are going to change a little bit. So this video is tailored more towards those of us who have to budget accordingly and don't have a whole lot of disposable income to stack precious metals. So 5 grams, $207. $18 face value should be 13 ounces. However, there is wear and silver loss due to circulation. So we'll discuss that too. On the right, you got 13 ounces of bullion. So right now, spot price for silver is $15.83. So we are within about $1.50 of each of these piles in front of us. So we don't live in a perfect world. We have to pay premiums. It's supply and demand. So what's the best way to stack on a budget? Well, I'm using APMEX for this because APMEX is a major bullion dealer, and most of us should be familiar with APMEX if we have been stacking for any amount of time. We have probably done business with them. But if you have not done business with an online dealer, not just APMEX, most online dealers have two prices. They have the check or bank wire. That is it's generally a little bit cheaper. And then you have the credit card PayPal fee, or not fee, price. So it's more of a convenience fee to pay with a credit card, so they charge a little bit more. On top of that, they're getting charged for each credit card transaction, so it makes sense for them to charge a little more for that. So for all intents and purposes, I'm using APMEX pricing using a credit card. And A generic secondary market 5-gram gold bar right now costs $234.95. So there's a little bit of a premium. For the sake of this discussion, we are not using Britannias or any other stuff in here. We are going cheapest route possible. Secondary market came up as the Buffalo rounds. So 13 1-ounce Buffalo rounds would cost us $241.41. A little more of a premium than the gold. And for $18 face value, I did this 2 different ways, because if you do $18 face value of 90%, it's going to run you $252.54. Because there's more of a premium on $1. But if you buy 2 $10 face value rolls, you're actually going to save a couple dollars. So instead of paying $252 for $18 face value, you can splurge for the extra $2 and you'll pay $246.22. So you're actually paying $6 less to get $2 more face value. So I know when I see those prices, me personally, it kind of hurts a little bit, because I'm an advocate of my local coin shop in regards to 90% silver. I know I can get a better deal at my local coin shop, but for the sake of this discussion, we're going to use APMEX because it's available to everybody. I've been to coin shops that have spot deals. Sometimes you can find spot deals online, but each state is different. Some charge sales tax, some don't. It really depends on a lot of different variables. So one thing that is consistent between all of us, we all have the internet. If you don't, you wouldn't be watching YouTube. So we have the opportunity to buy precious metals from an online bullion dealer. So that's the price I'm using. So these are my my notes. So the center right here, this is melt price for what you can get for $207.20. Those prices are what you can find online. Pardon the chicken scratch, but I was riding fast. Let's see. We discussed silver loss. So let me set this for troy ounces. This is 13 ounces. It should weigh 13 ounces. I'm reading 13.02, which is expected from 3 or 4 nines fine. Now let's do the 90%. Very carefully so I don't drop it. All right, I am reading 14.29 ounces. So we got 14.29 ounces. We're going to subtract 10% because it's only 90% silver. So I got 12 ounces, or 12.86 ounces. So there's a little bit of silver loss. but that's expected from constitutional silver. It happens. So, what would you rather have? I know in 2019, I'm going to focus more on the 90%, and gold is going to be secondary. I think I'm going to steer clear from 3 9s and 4 9s fine silver bullion, just because the premium on them is a little bit too high for me to bear. Once silver price comes up a little higher, then I've noticed the premium drops a little bit. But right now, I'm going to avoid this stuff, and I'm going to focus more on this stuff, with a little bit of emphasis on this stuff. So, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great night.